Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm Paul McCarthy, and today I'm joined by Johnny Stanford from the fine dining restaurant Tern. Johnny, it's great to have you with us today. Could you just start off by telling us a bit more about your business, please?
Yeah, so we're Tern Restaurant. We're 5 weeks old when this is being recorded. We're a fine dining restaurant based at the end of Worthing Pier in Worthing in Sussex. We concentrate on only using British produce. So anything that's grown, reared, made in the UK, from our wine to our vegetables, cheeses, it's all from the island that we live on. We offer a guest experience overlooking the Sussex coastline, lunch and dinner 3-4 days a week.
Fantastic. And why it sounds like it's happened quite recently. Why did you start the business?
So I've been living in Worthing for about 6 years. I've been a chef for about 23 years now. And the opportunity came up for such a sort of amazing location and building that it was sort of a no-brainer to try and take on the space and do something interesting and fun in here. So it kind of happened really quickly over a sort of 3-month period of saying yes to the space, getting in, and then we were open.
So were you working in another restaurant at the time when you took this plunge?
So I was working as a head chef in a hotel just out by East Grinstead. The opportunity came up and I sat down with my girlfriend. We spoke about it and just decided to make the jump and give it a go. Being a chef, I've always wanted my own place. And a lot of the time it's not super tangible because it costs a lot of money, but the space came with some investment. So we jumped at it.
Brilliant. And are you targeting the restaurant or anybody in particular? What's your sort of key demographic?
I think the demographics, anybody. We don't want to alienate people. What I wanted to do with Tern was kind of dispel all the myths of fine dining with the starch tablecloths and the huge wine lists and you having to know all these different things before you come and eat. We just want people to go and have a nice time. We offer a really laid back, fun experience. We do 7 and 5 courses, so you can choose the level you want, both with matching wines. And it's just aimed at anybody who wants to have a night out to sort of forget about everything for a couple of hours and enjoy a great meal with some interesting people and talking about what we're passionate about.
In the middle of the sea, by the sound of it.
Middle of the sea, yeah.
Brilliant. And you talked about getting local produce and things like that. Are there any other sort of your sort of secret sauce why you're different to other sort of local restaurants?
I think we're different because of the style of food. We offer quite a quirky style of food. The tasting menu format, something that's quite new to Worthing. There's nothing really in the area that sort of marries up to what we do. The British produce side of things was something is much for my own personal sort of passion project. I think we create and make such great stuff in the UK. There's so many small scale producers that do need a spotlight shining on them because what they do is incredible. So having the platform to be able to do that sort of is our sort of goal.
Right, got you. And people, you've obviously come across a lot of people in your career. Have there been any particular people that have really inspired you, maybe inspired you to do what you're doing now?
I think there's definitely some chefs out there. Simon Rogan is a chef from Cartmel in the Lake District. His restaurant's been inspirational because it's the whole package. It's a restaurant, it's a farm, it's got it all there, which is something that I really like to see is the product from start to finish. I think, being a chef, you're the last link in the chain and it's so easy to forget about all the things that have gone before you. So using someone with a business model like that is where I'd like Tern to end up, is having, if we could grow our own things, it'd be absolutely amazing to be able to grow our own veg and maybe have a couple of chickens, that kind of thing. Obviously not on the pier, but somewhere else inland. Yeah. It'd be, that kind of thing, and that ethos has inspired me quite a lot. Dan Barber of Blue Hill Farm in the States as well. His restaurants are completely pretty much self-sustainable. So I think that's something that I'd love to be able to achieve with our restaurant a couple of years down the line.
Fantastic. And I know it's only probably been quite a short time since you opened, but you're probably learning really fast. Lots of things are happening quite quickly for you. What do you think's been your biggest learning so far?
I think the biggest learning curve for me is the day-to-day running of a business. I mean, I've run kitchens and run restaurants, but the outside of the kitchen stuff, outside of the day-to-day, is something I've never really touched on. So realizing how much of that I've got to do as well as cook was something that's been quite a challenge, but something I quite enjoy as well, because it's learning a whole new set of skills, which is something that always, I suppose that's a chef mentality, something that always is quite exciting.
Brilliant. So that just a big learning curve at the moment, though.
It's non-stop at the moment.
Right, it's all big. Obviously, it's a new business, so for you, you didn't necessarily need to weather the recent storms of Brexit and COVID and the economy and things like that. But obviously, you were running kitchens during that time. What things did you learn during that period of time, and what changes have you made to your restaurant based on what was needed during that time?
I think COVID really showed people's true colours, and it showed what was lacking in the hospitality industry, which was the work-life balance, the amount of hours we all spend in here versus how that's perceived by other people and the general public. And I think we got hit as a hospitality community really hard by COVID, and it closed a lot of great restaurants, put a lot of really talented people out of work. And I think we're only just recovering from that now. You know, there was a huge shortage of chefs and front of house and sommeliers across the UK. I think we're slowly pulling ourselves out of that now, but to get people back into the industry, we've got to make it enticing. So what we did with Tern was we offer a 4-day opening. So we have Wednesday as a prep day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday we do lunch and dinner, and Sunday we do our brunch service in close Sunday nights. So it gives everyone essentially 2 full days and 2 half days off a week, which works great for us financially as a business, but also gives the team a chance to spend time with friends and family. I think the Brexit side of things made getting hold of certain ingredients a lot harder, which is why I delved into the British ingredients side of things to sort of try and stay ahead of the curve and source things locally and sustainably rather than trying to import it and dealing with all the issues that came with that. You know, setting up Tern, we found a lot of issues with trying to get some stuff. You know, the tables were made in Germany, so trying to get them through customs, they took a lot longer than they would have normally done. So we went with the British side of things as well for our chairs and a lot of our crockery and things, because it made it easier to get hold of and faster. And I think that's one of the things that Brexit's done for all of us, not just hospitality, is it's slowed a lot of things from Europe getting here down.
That's really interesting. So a lot of what has happened has shaped your business model as it is now, rather than having to change it. That's quite interesting. Do you think other restaurants are doing the same sort of things as you're doing there?
I think some people are doing the same sort of thing. I think your larger businesses and your chain restaurants are still going down the same route they always did, which is why I think quite a few are closing on the high street, because they're having issues of people going in and things not being on the menu and bits like that. But I think a lot of people, the public, have spoken with their want and their interest in local produce and small scale producers, because that's become something that people want to know where their food comes from. So I think that's shaping a lot of other businesses and food businesses into using local producers.
Yeah. And let's take a little look into the future. So what do you see as being the challenges to your restaurant, but also the industry as a whole over the next 5 years?
I think the challenges for us, the immediate ones, winter's looming. The summer's not been great, so trying to entice people down up here to have dinners is a challenge. But we've put our deposits in place to kind of secure that. So when you book a table at Tern for lunch, there's a £25 deposit, and for dinner, there's a £55 deposit, just to try and discourage no-shows, because that's a big problem within the hospitality industry as a whole. Is if you decide you don't want to go out, then the food's already here, we're already waiting for you. But if you don't turn up, then that's just dead money from our perspective. I was once explained that it was like a plane taking off, and if every seat on a plane to seat in your restaurant, if that plane takes off and there's 5 seats with no one sat in them, you're never going to get that back again, because that plane's gone and it's gone forever. And it's, so if we look at the restaurant the same way, really, we want to try and encourage people to come in, and the deposits kind of give people an incentive not to lose out on that. But also we take that off at the end of the bill. So you've prepaid for the price of the cheapest menu for dinner with your deposit. So it means you've got a little bit more money in to spend on whatever you want while you're here, or to go and get a cocktail somewhere else beforehand. It's kind of like a prepay as well as being a deposit.
Yep, got you. Sorry, any other challenges you can think of going forward?
I think challenges wise, I had something else and I've forgotten it.
One of the big challenges I come across a lot, certainly around our sort of region down here on the south coast, is skills, people. Is that something that you can?
I think I've been really lucky with people. I've taken some people join me from the hotel. I've picked up 2 really other great guys along the way, and then I've just picked up a new girl, Emily, out front. So I've been lucky because we're such a small team that everyone's got their own skill sets. And I've got, Nick, my sous chef, has worked with me. She's been my sous chef for nearly 2 years now. So she, as soon as I said I was going to open my own place, it was right, when are we going? So she came along, which has been brilliant. I've been able to leave the kitchen with her when I have to come and do all the officey bits and the spreadsheet stuff. I know it's in good hands. And the same with the guys out front. They've been absolutely solid. I think I've just looked out with it as much as I could have done.
Okay, so far people pretty good. Anything else? Any other challenges you can think of going forward?
I think the main challenge going forwards for us is keeping it interesting for guests and for ourselves. We change the menu as frequently as we can. We do change 2 to 3 dishes a week, so we keep it interesting for us, which means we don't get bored of doing the same dishes over and over again. It means your guests can come back again and know they're going to have a completely different experience. Same with the wines. With the UK producers, loads of great wines. We try and match the wines with the dishes to the best of our abilities. So if you do the tasting menu with the wine pairing and you come back in 6 weeks, the whole thing should be different.
Okay. And what about aspirations for the next 5 years? Where would you like to take things?
I think aspirations for us for the next 5 years, I'd love accolades. I think that's something that I've always worked within, is the fine dining, Michelin stars, rosé area. I'd love my own star. That's no secret from anybody. That's what we want for Worthing. We want to put Worthing on the map as somewhere that's a great place to come and visit, as well as coming to eat at Tern. And to make Tern a successful business is the goal. We can't do that without bums on seats and making us a successful business by providing the experience that we say we're providing and doing what we say on the tin.
I usually ask this question, but I'm liberating whether to ask it or not, but I'll go for it anyway. So if you could start again, and I appreciate it hasn't been that long, what would you do differently, if anything at all?
I think I would pay more attention to enjoying it. I think it's the setup. It was quite easy to get lost in it, and it was very daunting, especially doing it yourself for the first time. So if I was to go back, I'd probably take stock of it a bit more and realise that even though it is super stressful, we were always going to open. It was always going to happen.
Yeah.
There was a couple of setbacks along the way, and not to stress out about those as much as I did.
Right, got you. Just to enjoy the experience of it all.
Yeah, I'm sure there's things. Ask me that question in a year's time. I'm sure there'll be other things that I'll discover along the way.
And let's talk about your 18-year-old self. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self if you could?
I think again, don't stress out as much as you did over the years. There's been ups and downs, but ultimately, the end goal, if you work hard enough, is there. And get stuck in. I think I'd love to have travelled more and learned more about food, especially from other countries, because I stuck myself in a kitchen and I was working in restaurants for about 15 years before I actually popped my head out of the sand and went, actually, you know what, I want to go on holiday. So yeah, the advice would be work, but also don't work too hard, because it'll all come good in the end as long as you're prepared to put the effort in.
Okay. There's something I'm just picking up on you said just there, which is about goals. So how long ago did you have a goal to open up your own restaurant?
I think the way I've described it to people is you start off as a commis chef and you're new in the kitchen, it's brand new to you, and you look at your head chef and your sous chef and they're all, you know, tearing their hair out, worried about budgets and things. And you think, I don't want to do that. I just want to cook food. And then you move up to the next level in the kitchen and you're a chef de partie and you learn a bit more and you're looking at your other colleagues in the kitchen. You think, well, sous chef job looks interesting. You know, you get to do a bit of everything. That's great. And then you become a sous chef and then you look at your head chef and you go, well, actually, I know how to do most of it. I can do that. And it's at that point you go, maybe I could run my own place. And then you become a head chef and you're doing the job for someone else and you're taking your salary, but you know how much money the place is making and what you're turning over, and this person's getting all the praise and the accolades and things. That then you go, well, maybe I should do it for myself. And I think sort of maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I made the decision that I love my own place, but kind of came to terms with the fact that I'm a chef. I don't get paid a lot of money. We don't, you know, it's not a great industry to work in at times because of the hours and everything. But you want your own place, and I came to the conclusion I was never going to get it. And then the opportunity to open Tern came up, and it was more of a, well, if I don't do it now, then I'm never going to do it. So the idea's always been there, but a lot of chefs want their own restaurant, and I think we'll never get it because it's an opportunity that has to be put in front of you. It's not necessarily one you can go to the bank and say, you know, I want to open my own restaurant. Here's a business plan. Because a lot of banks will not give you the loan because of the failure rate of opening a restaurant. Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's something that I feel very, very lucky and privileged to have.
Right, brilliant. So it was more having it there as a goal, and then just waiting for the opportunity, the right opportunity to come up, and then going.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. I think there's a lot of luck in getting your own restaurant.
Right, fantastic.
Yeah, so I think I was one of the lucky ones, and touch wood, everything's going well and we can continue to do so.
Fantastic. I usually also ask about new projects, but this is a sort of a new project. Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on, things that you're doing within the restaurant that you haven't done already?
I think new projects for us, we're starting small and adding little extra bits to the menus. So we already do the wine flight. We'd like to do some sort of cocktail pairing along the lines of it, because I've got an absolutely amazing barman whose cocktails are to die for. We want to offer some supplement dishes so we can showcase, you know, maybe some smaller scale, slightly more expensive or luxury, I suppose, some more luxury ingredients that we can get, you know, lobsters and the finer things that we do from the UK. Because at the moment, starting out, you don't want to be spending all your money on those ingredients. You know, we've got to deal with what we can afford and grow into that. So that's another sort of pet project. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I think the chance to have somewhere to grow our own ingredients, whether that be just a small allotment that we can stick a greenhouse on and grow our own herbs, is something that I would really like for us to start doing and start working towards.
Fantastic. So there are plans there, considering where you are, quite early days, that there are things that you want to do and move forward. So that's really exciting.
I think, yeah, I'm a very goal-orientated person. Like, I need a focus to be able to move forwards. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just treading water. So once we hit the first goal, which was to open, you know, the next goal is, right, where can we go? What can we do next? How can we improve it? And I think that's just the way my brain works.
It's really interesting. A word that's sort of on my lips all the time you're talking is the word fresh. You keep your staff fresh, you keep your food fresh, you keep your menu fresh, you're keeping everything fresh, you're keeping you fresh, you're keeping your ideas and goals for the future fresh, you're looking at things to do. So it's quite interesting that it seems to a rhythm going through everything you're doing.
Yeah, I like that. I might steal it after.
Okay, there you go. One for free. But it is quite interesting, and especially how you're treating the staff. I think that's really,
I think, you know, you've got to look after people, and over the years I've seen chefs and front of house and waiters, bartenders, everyone just get burnt out.
Yeah.
And I think that's not something I want to be responsible for. I want to encourage everyone to have a great time. No one wakes up in the morning and thinks, yeah, it's Thursday, I've got to go to work today. But when people are here, if we can make it a fun experience and an enjoyable place to work, and people are learning and finding new skills and new ingredients to cook with and techniques and new wines and new cocktails, then that keeps it interesting for us because that's what we enjoy doing.
Brilliant.
And I think sharing that with other people is a big part of it as well. Being able to, the chefs in the kitchen and my team take the food out to the tables as well as the front of house guys. So there's interaction with your guests. We've got seats on the pass up on the sort of counter, so you can see what we're doing and we can interact with guests there. So it makes it more fun for everybody.
Brilliant. That's great. Johnny, how can people get in contact with you? What's the best way of getting hold of you if they want to speak to you or even book a table?
So we've got our website, which is ternrestaurant.co.uk. You can book tables directly through the link on there. Drop us an email at hello@ternrestaurant.co.uk, or just send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, which is Johnny Stanford Chef. If you want to talk more about what we do or ask any questions, I'm always, maybe not immediately, but I'm always there with an answer when I got a spare 5 minutes.
Brilliant. Johnny, thank you so much for your time. It's been a really amazing interview. Really enjoyed it, and pleasure talking to you. All the best for the future. Looks like you've got some real stable foundations there, so to really build on. So all the very best for the future for you.
Amazing. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.